Assalamu alaikum. My name is Muhammad Bilal. As you all are familiar that I am your instructor, and today was our topic relevant to transitional devices. I have opened your lecture along with my laptop. So, what is transitional devices? It was the lecture that today we have not well discussed in the class, so I decided to make a video for you. And I am speaking a very simple language, English, and I hope that you will understand this language. And I am using this language because as well as you listen, you will learn. So try to understand. So let's start our topic transitional devices. What is meant by transitional devices? I am going to read from the PDF that transitional devices are the words, phrases, or expression. Three words that are most important in the line is word, phrase, and expression. That there are three main things that we are going to be focused on, which out of which one is word, phrase, and expression. So, what is the definition? Transitional devices are the words, phrases, or expressions used in writing, speaking, to connect ideas smoothly between sentences and paragraphs. So, what is the meaning of transitional devices? That the word, phrases, or the expression that we use to connect the ideas or paragraphs in writing or speaking. Such words that we use for the connection. For example, our conjunctions in which we use the fanwise words. Understand? Got it? Let's move forward. They act as the bridge that guide the reader through the progression of the thoughts and ideas, and these words guide the reader, the person who is reading the paragraph or writing the paragraph. These words, which one? Transitional devices. These words guide the reader toward the main meaning, to understand the paragraph and to understand the main idea of the paragraph. Let's move forward and ensuring coherence and flow without abrupt breaks, and we understand the topic, understand the main ideas without any disturbance, because we are understandable. We got all the meanings and all the understanding about the transitional devices, then we will be able to understand all the topics and all the main themes, main ideas of the paragraph. These devices clarify how one idea relates to other. As simple as it is, conjunction, these are the devices, and by using these devices we will be able to understand what is going on in the paragraph and to connect the meanings and ideas. Whether by adding information, we can add information by using transitional devices such as moreover, in addition to, for instance, etc. These are the words that we can use to add up the information in the paragraph. Comparing, for example, we can compare between two things. Contrasting, comparison. Showing sequence, providing examples, for instance, for example, in addition to, these are the words. Emphasizing points are summarizing, and we use all these words for summarizing our topic. I hope you are getting my points. I have read all the paragraph that they have given in the PDF about the transitional devices. While listening the lecture, afterward you have to read that PDF carefully, or otherwise you can open the PDF along with your mobile device along with this video, and you will get the point, because I am reading the PDF and I have shared that PDF with you. What is transitional devices? Let's summarize, let's sum up the topic. What is transitional devices? These are the words, phrases, or the expression that we can use in our writing or speaking. For which purpose? For the connection between two ideas, or for summarizing, or for writing and speaking in our passage. I hope that's enough about the transitional devices. Let's move forward. transitional devices, I am going to tell you the words that we can use for the as a transitional devices. What are the words? Single words that link the ideas such as and, between, however, because, finally, therefore. All these the words that we can use for the connection between two ideas or comparison or contrasting, all these things. Afterward is phrase. As I have told you, what is a phrase? Phrase is the group of the words of which we use the meaning as it is. For example, in the morning we use as it is meaning. At the evening, same like that. The phrases, I am going to give the example. Groups of the words that join the ideas. For example, in addition to, on the other hand, as a result, for example, for instance, and in conclusion. These are the words that we can use as a phrase in our writing or speaking to join the paragraphs, to join the ideas, to connect the themes. Last one is expression. As I have told you earlier that we have three main things to focus. First one is word, I have told you all the words. Second one is phrase, I have told you the phrase. And last one is expression. I am going to ask you, what is expression? Longer phrases or sentences. For example, expression is also a group of the words but more than the phrase. For example, in phrase, for example, in addition to, there are just three words, but that is not expression. In expression there would be a long sentence, a long group of words that echo previous ideas or set up the next topic, that refers back to the previous point that we have discussed, or refer to the afterward point that I am going to discuss. Some things involving references or parallel structures. Hope you all will get better understanding of the expression, that this is more than a phrase. Phrase is also a group of words, but expression is the group of words that are almost a full sentence, that refers back or refer to forward. For example, that is the example, as mentioned earlier, the economic crisis have affected many industries. In this line, the word as mentioned earlier, all this line is an expression that is referring back. For example, as mentioned earlier, we have discussed this point earlier. What point? The economic crisis have affected many industries. We have discussed that point earlier. Now we are going to discuss the more one point. This expression refers back to the previously discussed economic crisis, linking the new sentence to the earlier ideas. I hope you are getting my point. Understand? Next one example is, this bring us to the next point. That is also expression that is referring to the point that we are going to discuss. This point brings us to the next point. For example, we are writing a passage and we are going to discuss the point one by one, and at last we are going to say that this all these discussions have bring us to that one point that we are going to write or discuss. This brings us to the next point, which is the impact on the employment. I hope you got the point. Next one is, in light of these findings. For example, findings we have, what are the findings? The results that we got from the discussions, from the debates, or from our research. All these things are known as our findings. So what is the in the light of the findings, we can conclude that further research is necessary. As we have note down the findings of our research, and now I am going to tell you that all these findings is proved that, have proved that. What proved that? We can conclude that further research is necessary. These findings are not enough, we have to do more research. This is also expression that is referring to the conclusion. And next one is referring to the findings. Next one is, not only in this theory widely accepted, but is also provide a foundation for further studies, that the point we have discussed are not enough. We have to discuss these points more than that. This is also a expression. Next one is functions of the transitional devices. What are the function of transitional devices? We have discussed that uh, we have discussed to connect the ideas, themes, points, paragraphs. The functions of the transitional devices that are mentioned in the PDF is adding ideas. For example, besides, moreover, these are the words that we can use for adding ideas. Second point is showing contrast or exceptions. For example, however, nevertheless. These are the words that we can use for the contrast or exceptions. Third one is indicating time or sequence. Then afterward, finally, these are the time sequence that we can use, that firstly, secondly, thirdly, lastly, all these points. Fourth one is giving examples. For example, for instance, moreover, in addition to, these are the words that we can use in place of example. Fifth one is emphasizing points. For example, definitely, absolutely, the words that surely explain the ideas. And last one is summarizing or concluding. For example, at last or in conclusion. These are the words that we can use at the last. Now I am going to conclude the topic. These devices help build complex sentences structure and create a logical flow throughout a text. For example, we can use all these transitional devices for our complex writing to make the complex sentences, making it easier for readers to follow an argument or narratives. And these transitional devices help the readers to find out the points to understand it easily. They also serve to highlight relationship between ideas, whether they are sportive, contrasting, or sequential connections. For example, sequential connections. For example, firstly, secondly, thirdly. This is sequential writing. Contrasting between, moreover, for example, sportive. In addition to, for instance, all these things. Without transitional devices, writing would free, choppy, and disconnected. That if we are not using the transitional devices in our writing, then our writing would not be so effective, and that would not be understandable or not creating any better meaning for the understanding. That was our topic about the transitional devices, and I hope you will understand it. Otherwise, if you have any questions, you can freely ask in the group and I will answer that. Otherwise, Allah Hafiz.